Good morning. My name is Alexander. I'll be interviewing JP Thor from CanYa. JP and his team plan to revolutionize the gig economy. So welcome, JP. Thank you for joining us today.
No problems. Thank you.
All right. Can you tell me a little bit about your role at CanYa and how you could summarize CanYa to someone without knowledge of the gig economy?
Sure thing. So I'm the co-founder and CEO of CanYa, and we are currently building a decentralized autonomous organization for peer-to-peer services, where essentially we're allowing anyone in the world to find, book, and pay for services using cryptocurrencies and blockchain technologies to remove all the middleman. So essentially it's you engaging directly with your provider anywhere in the world with cross-border payments, extremely low fees, and using blockchain technology to allow full decentralization.
Very cool. So to be initially disrupting the current platforms, centralized platforms like, Angie's List or American Platforms.
Yeah, essentially we're trying to take on Upwork, Angie's List, TaskRabbit, Fiverr, Freelancer, etc. We find those marketplaces extremely fragmented. They have high fees, and they prevent high barriers of entry to their users. Whereas for us, because we're building a token-powered economy, there is no extraction of value required from our users. Instead, there's a single token, the CanYa coin, to power payments, rewards, loyalty bonuses, subscriptions, and that token is what drives and lubricates the ecosystem of CanYa. And it means that we can take very, very low fees and allowing our users to get the maximum value out of the ecosystem as required.
The next question, which other products or services is CanYa currently integrating with, either within blockchain or out of blockchain technology?
Sure. So we, in terms of the technology stack, I'll be honest with you, the technology is currently not yet mature. So instead of building a fully decentralized application from day one, we're building a centralized application using standard web technologies, but we're readily integrating the decentralized technology as they come onto the scene. So it'll be decentralized login, for example, using Uport and Civic. When the decentralized database, either BlueZell or or even BigchainDB is ready, then we'll integrate them. And then finally, decentralized compute is probably still about 2 to 3 years away from being usable in being able to replace the technology from Amazon. In terms of the technology, we're integrating it as we go. In terms of services, this is where we will find the ability to bootstrap ourselves the fastest by growing our user base and a use case by leveraging our existing partnerships with Microsoft, IBM, Facebook, Uber, and Amazon in order to derive a real-world use case of our platforms. One of them in particular being Bounty Source, where we host 46,000 open source developers, connect them with teams around the world to solve open source bounties. What we recognize is a huge movement into open source software. All blockchain software is open, but more importantly, smart contract code, where you have contracts, especially contracts for decentralized exchanges, storing up to billions of dollars worth of value in 80 to 100 lines of code. And this code needs to be scrutinized and completely analyzed for vulnerabilities. And it's very hard to do that. So the solution for that is, rather than having proprietary code analysis, is to get as many eyes on the code as possible. And that's what we're trying to do with Bounty Source, is by bringing together these blockchain teams with very valuable smart contract code and connecting them with open source and blockchain developers all around the world in order to tease out and locate those vulnerabilities and pay everyone at the same time.
And that process with Bounty Source, that was kind of helping you guys in your aim to sort of have those hubs of digital nomads, as I think you mentioned, like around the world, to kind of more so push the globalization of CanYa?
Correct. Yeah, correct. So the intent with Bounty Source was to connect our digital nomads and give them a platform which they can find work. And Bounty Source already had that, and that's why we find it nicely aligned with CanYa. And we'll use that to drive traffic between our two platforms. And over the course of this year, we'll bring those two platforms together. So it's a single CanYa ecosystem completely powered by our token. and used by digital nomads and teams all around the world. What work do our users look for? And in terms of the style of work, they, as we all are, we like to be very uncommitted and retain choice. So importantly for our users, they need to feel that they can work anytime they want on their own terms and get paid however they want. And that last one is very, very important for us. We aren't going to restrict the payment flow between our users primarily to, say, USD or even our own token. What we envisage by integrating decentralized exchange APIs like from Carbon Network is that the user can pay in whatever token that they want, and the provider will receive payment in whatever they want, be it some form of ERC20 token, Monero, Dash, Bitcoin, even USD. It's completely fluid and completely liquid, so that it confers payment choices to everyone.
Tata mentioned he wanted to have me throw this one in there. What are the future catalysts right now for the either the short term or the long term?
So important over the next 6 months, because we are building on our existing platform and pushing out to the world, is we need to leverage what we already have, leverage our partnerships, and to maintain a positive amount of noise on the internet. And that's important for a blockchain company, is to maintain presence, maintain momentum, and maintain that emanation of positive noise. And we're working very hard with our providers to do that. For a catalyst, I see very important, and there's a very big time imperative for this for us to do, is for us to add the ability into the Bounty Source platform for blockchain companies to add the bounties but listed in their own token. So working right now with Civic Technologies to allow them to add, being the first of many, to allow them to add their own bounties and their own code, but they want to pay in the Civic token. So we're adding that feature to the Bounty Source over the next month. We're very excited to roll that out. And we see that as important because it will allow us to go to any number of blockchain companies and allow them to pay developers in their own token.
Although your token generation event is complete, where can we go to learn more about CanYa? And are there any other ways for the public to get more involved?
Sure. So we have a very active Telegram community with over 6,000 participants, and most of them are our own token holders. So they're very passionate about engaging with us. And we, rather than a traditional company where it's a very one-way form of dialogue between the entity and its users, we maintain a very two-way dialogue with our users to the point where they help us and help influence our decision-making in terms of the roadmap, the rollout of the platform, the features, et cetera, et cetera. So I encourage everyone to jump in our Telegram community where they can have that two-way chat between us and the rest of our 6,000 strong community.
So I wanted to ask one that I really enjoyed that you guys pointed out in your white paper about the Huddle Club. If you wanted to maybe elaborate that a little more in here.
Sure. So we driven by our community, and our community drives us, and we wanted to create a strong, long-term, passionate community base where they are rewarded for hanging around and being with us on this venture. And as you know, token markets are very liquid. Anyone can exit whenever they want. So we have economic incentives for people who just hodl their tokens, i.e. hold them. And if there's zero outbound token movement on a particular address, then we will reward them over the next months and years with airdropping extra tokens, partner tokens, merchandise, invites to our conferences, et cetera, et cetera.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah, sounds great.
Push it out there and pump it.
All right. Thanks, JP. I appreciate it. We'll talk soon.